I'm just a guy who loves Disney that has way too much time on his hands. If anybody from Disney is watching, please don't sue me. I'm here to rate, review, and describe all of your favorite things from the magical world of Disney. I'm File91e and welcome to my Disney News and Reviews. Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Disney News and Reviews. I'm File91e. A pretty crazy week this week for me, guys. Obviously, hope you guys had a happy Halloween first off, but on the more serious notes here, obviously we had Hurricane Sandy blow through and it caused a lot of havoc here in Baltimore, and it caused even more havoc up in Jersey and New York. So my hearts and my heart goes out to them and all the families and people that were affected, that got hit, that lost power, and it was a really terrible situation. I mean, I live in Baltimore and we were supposed to get a lot of it, so we kind of dodged the bullet there, but unfortunately other people didn't. So I'm urging people right now, especially fans of mine that can do this, but just go to redcross.org and donate whatever you can. It's really important. I donated whatever I could because they really need some help up there, and it's just as bad as any hurricane down in the Gulf or Florida or anything like that. And honestly, I think those guys are kind of equipped for it all. New York really isn't, or Jersey and anything, and parts of that kind of washed away, which is terrible. Again, like I said, Baltimore was supposed to get the brunt of it, but it kind of gained power and just went all the way up and tore up New York and New Jersey. Although it did hit Ocean City pretty good, Ocean City, Maryland. It did get Ocean City, and we lost some stuff there. But we're all resilient, and the people in New York and New Jersey are resilient, and they'll come back, and it'll be better than ever, so I'm sure. But it's a long process, and again, go to redcross.org to donate whatever you can. Volunteer your time or whatever you can do to help. But it just takes a little, with a little bit of support from all of us. I think the people up in New York and New Jersey can really bounce back quick, and we can get back on with our lives, and hopefully not have hopefully not be put ourselves into that situation again. We should get a better prepared with things like that. We should just have a contingency plan aside from just hunker down and ride it out. Yeah, so again, I hope my friends are up in New York and New Jersey are doing well. I haven't heard otherwise, so that's great. Just be resilient, guys. You guys are resilient with situations like that. So again, final time, just go to redcross.org, donate whatever you can, and let's try to get through this quickly and efficiently, and just be safe, guys, and be careful, because there's another nor'easter coming through in the week to come. So just be careful and be safe. So yeah. Anyway, that's it. Let's just get right to the news, guys. Obviously, the big news this week is that Disney acquired LucasFilm for $4.5 billion. I'm going to be giving my opinion and thoughts on that as part of one of my reviews this week. So just let me know, or just skip to that if you want to, or the reviews section if you want to see what I have to say about that. But as for other news, let's get right to it. As the temperature starts to dip in central Florida, Typhoon Lagoon has closed to begin its annual refurbishment. Disney has it scheduled to reopen on January 6th of 2013, with Blizzard Beach remaining open during the refurbishment as long as the weather allows it. Like the past couple, this last week it closed for 2 days because of cold weather. So obviously, nobody wants to swim in 40-degree weather. So there you go. There's a new name at downtown Disney's Palio Campero restaurant. Bodie's, or Body's All-American, replaces the former Fresh Appeal section, offering burgers, salads, sandwiches, and wraps. So as you can see right there, new signage is up, so they're all ready to go. As we near the opening of the reworked test track, the official Disney Parks blog has revealed a new piece of concept art showing the full entrance area. As you can see, it's pretty neat. There's a new blue scheme there. The whole test track car. That's pretty cool. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do. I can't wait for it to open up. I'm just really excited about that. And finally, the official Disney Parks blog this week revealed a few details about additions to this year's Osborne Family Spectacle of Dancing Lights. Guests this year will be able to meet Santa Goofy nightly in a specially themed Goofy's Winter Wonderland area right on the streets of America, that's pretty cool. Also new will be the addition of an 8th dancing musical sequence, a special arrangement of Winter Wonderland, to try to keep the whole theming there. The spectacle begins on November 9th and runs through until January 6th of 2013 at Disney's Hollywood Studios and is included with regular park admission. So, keep that in mind when you're going down to Disney World. So yeah, that's the news for this week. Let's get right to the reviews. Like I said earlier, I am going to be reviewing Wreck-It Ralph. That'll be after this. But the first thing I want to talk about is the Disney acquisition of LucasFilm for $4.5 billion. It happened this past week. It was pretty sudden. Nobody was really expecting it or thought it would really happen, but it did. And it's pretty interesting, pretty crazy. It's caused a lot of shockwaves around the internet and all throughout these fans of Star Wars and Indiana Jones and LucasFilm and Disney. There's been a lot of positive reaction. There's been a lot of negative reaction. I mean, something this big and this controversial will cause a lot of internet memes to happen and different people being very cynical about it and not really having an open mind towards it. With that being said, let me just tell you right off the bat that I fully approve and support this decision, just because I know that Disney and George Lucas, that is, have had a relationship ever since the mid to late 80s. They've worked together on many different things, many different attractions in the park, including Captain EO. Yes, Lucas was a part of that, and the Star Wars and Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular rides, the Star Tours. Oh, sorry to say, but yeah, I mean, I really approve of this. It's not like this for people that don't know Disney like I do, I guess, or most of my friends. This is a big sudden change, and it's like, why would it go to Disney? I don't know how he could do that. I don't know how he could go to Disney. It makes sense when you really think about it. Lately, honestly, George Lucas's films haven't been that good. The last 3 Star Wars films, were just shredded on the internet, and everybody hated it. Everybody has, had a big old thing going with it. And aside from a couple pretty good video games in the last couple years, Lucasfilm really hasn't been doing too much. ILM and Skywalker Sound have been doing a lot of work because, obviously they are 2 major effects companies that, that do a lot of work for different movies and whatnot. So they've been doing whatever, but Lucasfilm itself really hasn't done a ton. So, with this merger, with this acquisition, Disney, the Disney company, now owns Lucasfilm, all the properties that it has, Star Wars, Indiana Jones. It owns ILM and Skywalker Sound. Now, when people say, or when people hear rather, that Disney owns it, I think that's a bad term. Disney, yes, owns it, and it gets all the revenue and stuff from it, but it's not like Disney's going to come in and start putting Mickey Mouse on the walls of everything, and there's going to be a giant Mickey statue in front of Lucasfilm and Skywalker Sound and all that. That's not how it works. Disney is the Disney company is literally just a company, and it wants to make money, and it serves it well to have all these different intellectual properties such as Pixar and Marvel and all that. And I really don't view it as they own it. I view it as almost like a tag team sort of partnership sort of thing. Kind of the same thing with Disney and Pixar. I mean, Disney worked with Pixar a lot, and then Pixar broke away from Disney. Disney realized that that wouldn't be good, so Disney bought Pixar. But when Disney bought Pixar, it's not like they bought it and shoved Mickey Mouse all down our throats and everything like that. No, they allowed Pixar to do what they wanted to do, to expand their horizons. They basically allowed Pixar to exist. Because Pixar was kind of tumbling down, and it just didn't, it allowed Pixar to, be everything that that it could be. It helped with merchandising and advertising and different things like that. And all that Disney did was put the Disney logo right in the beginning of the film. That's all it did. Didn't throw, it didn't thrust Goofy and all that stuff down there. It didn't, make it more childish. It allowed Pixar to be everything that it could be. Same thing with Marvel. You didn't see Mickey Mouse thrust into the Avengers, did you? No, you didn't. The Avengers was great. So it totally, Disney buying Marvel didn't do anything aside from Disney now getting money from all the Marvel, revenue and all the different things like that. It didn't change anything. It just allowed Marvel to still exist. It's the same thing with Lucasfilm. As of late, Lucas has been obviously he officially retired from making feature films a couple months ago. And he's been focusing more on philanthropy and making independent films, personal films for him. He didn't want to make these big budget blockbusters, and the whole reason why ILM and Skywalker Sound and all this other stuff that Disney that Disney acquired was even around is because that's what George Lucas needed to make the movies that he wanted to. He didn't want to have to deal with the studio aspect of everything, so he created all these individual things to help him create these awesome movies, and he created these awesome franchises such as Star Wars and Indiana Jones from it. So now with him retiring, he doesn't need all of these things anymore. And honestly, and this isn't official, he didn't come out and say this or anything, I'm just pure speculation. I think he realized he's coming to the end of his career, and he wanted a place, and although he did say this, he wanted a place, a home for the stuff that he made, his life's work. And I don't think that, and this isn't official, but I'm pretty sure he was thinking that, if he were to die tomorrow, what would happen to his life's work? And I'm pretty sure he envisioned there'd be a bidding war, people wouldn't know what to do, there'd be a whole bunch of stuff going on, and then eventually the thing would go down the tubes. And unfortunately, in the movie business, I'm sure that would have happened. So so George Lucas took the step and said, you know what, I'll sell this to Disney. I'll sell all my stuff and make sure that it's been well taken care of, because I'm sure you saw how Disney took care of Pixar and Marvel. And honestly, there wouldn't be that much of a difference in anything. Like I said, all they're doing now is that all this means is that Kathleen Kennedy is now the head of Lucasfilm, and she has to have a meeting every week or so with somebody from Disney just to see how everything's working. It's still a separate entity, it's still a separate little thing, it's just tied in now to, has a lifeline to Disney, just to make sure that everything's going. The advertising will go through Disney, the merchandising will go through Disney, and Disney's great with that, so you should be able to get some other merchandising stuff. And again, like I said, this is not a new situation. There's been Disney Star Wars crossovers for a while. The Star Wars weekends at Disney World, all the different stuff down in the Star Tours area. There's a ton of Disney, mixed Disney merchandise. I was on the internet today, and I just saw all these things like, oh my God, it's starting, because they saw a Han Solo doll that was mixed with Donald Duck. Yes, that was made years before Disney and Disney ever even thought about purchasing Lucasfilm. So, that there's nothing different there. It's not going to change anything. I don't know what, the internet geeks are trying to think of. I guess they're, afraid that, I don't know, honestly, I don't know what they're afraid of. I really have no idea. But, I'm not trying to convince people that, this is a good thing, because you're all entitled to your opinion, but keep an open mind, The only thing that I think they shouldn't have done was make a 7, 8, and 9 movie, although I am going to go and see it. I am pretty, I am looking forward to it because I love Star Wars. I'm not sure how they're going to do that, but who knows. Because Lucas said that he didn't want to make a 7, 8, and 9. And he's sticking to his word in the fact that he's not making 7, 8, and 9, although, other younger filmmakers will be making it, and who knows, that could be awesome, because younger filmmakers will add a fresh new eye on it, and hopefully it will be great in the end. So basically what I'm trying to say is I support the Lucasfilm acquisition by Disney for $4.5 billion, and the fact that George Lucas donated $4 billion of his money that he got to educational charities, that's awesome. I mean, he's left with $500 million, but you know, just the fact that he donated $4 billion of it to, you know, educational charities shows just how, you know, he really means what he's talking about when he's, you know, trying to turn a new leaf and, you know, do a new, you know, try to support, you know, other people. And I really think that's great. And kudos to you, Mr. Lucas. You know, you gave us a whole new world to, no pun intended, to you know, to play in and to experience. And it's going to be interesting to see how the world expands now. You know, with the with the whole, you know, with it being in the hands of newer people and fresher ideas. So Star Wars, I mean, this was inevitable. Something was going to happen in the future, and it just happened to happen right now. And now we can all just kind of deal with it. It's not going to change. Nothing's going to, be different. So just enjoy it, and you know, we'll see where it goes. And but something tells me that no matter how many times I plead, people around the internet are going to constantly just put this down, and I really don't think I can do anything to change their mind. So just try to keep an open mind. It does look, you know, like it's really like some interesting things are going to happen. So I'm really excited. So I'm really excited, and I totally approve of the Lucasfilm merger with Disney, or Lucasfilm acquisition by Disney. So excellent. Yeah, that's my thoughts on that whole thing. Alright guys, the next thing I want to review today is the newest 3D animated adventure by the Walt Disney Animation Studios, Wreck-It Ralph. It's in theaters now. I urge you all to go see it. It's really, really good. Now this is the 52nd animated feature by the Walt Disney Animation Company, and it was directed by Rich Moore, and it was written by Jennifer Lee and Phil Johnston. Now, it's cool to note that John Lasseter also served as executive producer, which is part of the reason why I think this movie is as good as it is. Also, the voice talents of John C. Reilly, who played Ralph, Sarah Silverman, who played Vanellope von Schweet, Jack McBrayer, who played Fix-It Felix, who is the hero of the Fix-It Felix game that Wreck-It Ralph is the villain of, and Jane Lynch. She did Sergeant Calhoun. She was a sergeant in a first-person shooter game that Ralph encountered, but I'll get more on that later. Now, this film actually was one of these ideas that Disney was throwing around ever since in the mid to late 80s. Originally in the 80s, it was going to be called High Score, but that never happened. And through the 90s, it was actually going to be known as Joe Jump. But then that never happened, and in the mid-2000s it was going to be known as Reboot Ralph, before finally recently being settled on Wreck-It Ralph, and that is the current story that happened. So I think now is a good time for a video game movie, because there's so much history in video games right now, and this whole nostalgia in the culture really helped this movie out, and it actually came out at a great time. Now, one of the key things about this movie that makes it so great is the fact that, since it is based on video games, Disney needed to put actual video game characters in there to legitimize the idea that Ralph is in a video game. Because the whole thing takes place in an arcade. So there's tons of video games around there, namely Street Fighter, Sonic the Hedgehog, different things like that. Along with newer games, like Dance Dance Revolution and other racing games. Now, with there being a ton of video game characters in there, a lot of people have been talking about the amount of licensing fees that Disney had to pay in order to, get these characters in the game for a little bit. That's actually one of the stories, the more amusing stories, of this whole thing, is that, just the fact that they were able to get Bowser, Bison, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Q*bert, and all these other different characters that we know and love into this game. And honestly, the fact that they put so many in there really made this, it did legitimize it and made it believable. But there are a couple characters that you may notice that aren't in this movie, namely Mario and Luigi. Disney did originally want to put them in there, but the licensing fees for Nintendo were way too high. Plus the fact that Ralph is a villain, and the movie kind of focused on villains more than heroes. I don't think Disney wanted to pay that much money for like 30 seconds of screen time for Mario or Luigi. Now it would have been great to see both of them in there, and hopefully maybe if they make a Wreck-It Ralph 2 or something like that, Disney and Nintendo will be able to kind of compromise, maybe get Mario in the game. Honestly, in this movie, it didn't matter that he wasn't in the game. It didn't take away anything. So that's really good too. There's Bowser in there, so that's all that they really needed to have that awesome Villains Anonymous scene. That was very, very good. Now there are about 188 different individual character models in this movie as a result of the cameos and whatnot. So it really benefits you to, at certain points, especially when you see a lot of expanses or big wide shots, to look in the background, because you're going to notice different characters and whatnot that you wouldn't normally see ahead of you. There's a lot of different video game references, on graffiti on walls and different like advertisements and whatnot. You'll see different video game references in there. Plus there's just blatant references. There's the Contra code in there. The one of my friend's favorites was the Metal Gear Solid exclamation point. That was in there too, so he really enjoyed that. He really geeked out over that. But plus all the different subtle video game references in there are really cool. They don't just throw 8-bit everything in your face, although some of that's pretty funny, just the movements of the characters, and you can just tell Disney did a really good job, and they were really detailed on doing all of this stuff. Now the film was originally scheduled for a 2013 release, but since they finished ahead of schedule, everything went well, they released it obviously this past week, or rather yesterday, and it's been doing great. It actually made $13.4 million in its opening day. That's more than any other animated animated film released in November, including Tangled and Megamind. So that's really cool. I think right now it's up to $43 million. So it's doing really well. Wreck-It Ralph is doing really good, considering that Flight came out today yesterday, and Argo's doing phenomenal. So it's really great. Now, one of the coolest things about this movie is it's paired with a short, and the short film that is in the beginning of this film is called Paperman. It was directed by John Cars, and it mixed 2D drawing with the dimensions of 3D CG space. So it's drawn in the style of the Disney Renaissance, the Aladdin characters with the big eyes and the accentuated features. But it's 3D, it's CG, and you do get a sense of dimensionality with it. It's not just flat. There is a sense of dimension in there, which is really, really cool. And how they merged it just made it great. The animation was excellent. Plus the story was very charming. It's a little bit of a love story, and I do gotta say it's very charming. A man's trying to get the attention of a girl that he likes, and in the end they wind up meeting up, which is very cool. What happens after that? Well, it's a short film, and we can only speculate, but I like to think that they got married, and that's the romantic in me right here. But I loved it. It really, for whatever reason, it struck a chord with me, and it really did they just did a great job with it. And then we move on to the actual movie itself, and I'm not going to give away a lot of the plot here. Just Ralph is a villain in a video game called Fix-It Felix Jr., and he's kind of like a Donkey Kong game. He's just tired of being a villain because he doesn't get any respect. He's not included with anything. Inclusion is a big thing, is a big theme in this game, being an outcast and whatnot, and just wanting to be included. That's one of the biggest themes of this movie. He goes to different video games to just try to show that, try to get like a coin or a big medal to show that to bring back to his game, so he can show that he is a hero as well and as being a villain and deserves more respect. So he goes to a first-person shooter via Game Central Station, which is pretty cool because, again, like I said, this does take place in an arcade, a coin-operated arcade. So the way they communicate with each other, they go through the wires and Game Central Station, which is a surge protector. So surge protector was where all of the games are plugged in, and they can go in and out of each other's games and whatnot. So he technically goes turbo, which is like going AWOL for a game. And you know, there's a lot of tension with like getting shut down and being out of order and having to find Ralph, and Ralph then winds up in this other video game, which is a racing game. That's where he meets Vanellope, and Felix and Sergeant Calhoun have a thing. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on. So, you know, the plot was pretty good. Now, if there was one thing I would have to take away from the movie, it was a small little thing. It's just that it took the story took a little bit of a time to try to get into its groove. It took a little bit to really find out what the point of everything was. Like first, first you're introduced to Ralph, and then he goes to. I was expecting for him to go through a lot of different games, but he really only goes to 2. But the fact that he went to the first one, I thought there was going to be more stuff there, but he went to the other one. So I just kind of got a little confused. But once we got in, we found the main villain, which is King Candy, and we found his little accomplice. Once we got into that game and we finally settled down and went through that storyline, and that was going to be the main film storyline. I settled down, and I started understanding where things were going, and it just was cool. So, I mean, everything was necessary. It just took a minute for it to kind of sink in. And if that, that might be the only, critique I have for the movie. The animation was great. The 3D was awesome. It wasn't that in-your-face 3D, but, it was just more like real 3D. They did a great job with that. The music was awesome, very 8-bit, very video gamey. The fact that they had Skrillex in there was cool. That was neat. And the Owl City track right at the end, When Will I See You Again? You can buy that on iTunes. Very good stuff. I did. And it was just a great track, great end credits song, and just awesome stuff. All the little video game references really just tied it all together. And I hope they if they do make a second one, it's as good or if not better than this, because I would love to see what they do with these characters, because there's so many video games that they could reference and go into and whatnot. But who knows? Even if they don't, this stands out and it's totally worth it. I totally recommend you go see it. So what am I going to give Wreck-It Ralph, which is in theaters now? I'm definitely giving this 5 big stars. I loved it. I loved every bit of it. The Paperman short that goes in that went in front of it was awesome too. So excuse me, get to the theater early, enjoy it, have a good time, and if you're old enough and young enough to appreciate the video games that are in there, that makes it all the better. And I just knew a lot of people my age that were in the theaters really just geeked out when they saw a lot of the video game references, so that was really cool. Young kids will like it because it's a fun, and it's a pretty cool video game movie. But a lot of the older people, especially my age, will get the the older references and really enjoy it too. So it's been getting pretty good reviews, and some people like it a lot, some people don't, but it's been getting pretty good reviews. Rotten Tomatoes hasn't completely trashed it, so that's really good too. So Wreck-It Ralph, it's in theaters now. It's in 3D. I'm sure they also have 2D versions out there somewhere, but the 3D doesn't, it's not crazy 3D, so it's really good. Go see it. It's out now. Check it out. 5 big stars from File91e for Wreck-It Ralph. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's Disney News and Reviews. Again, redcross.org, Hurricane Sandy relief stuff. That's the last time I want to say it. I know I've been kind of throwing that down your throats, but it's really important, and just try to help out whenever you can. Go see Wreck-It Ralph. It's in theaters now, and hopefully the power will go back up in New York and New Jersey, and then they'll be able to see it too, because it's a really, really good movie. Totally worth your time, and try to give the LucasFilm Disney deal a little bit of an open mind. Just appreciate it with a little bit of an open mind. Yeah, so if anybody from Disney is watching, please don't sue me. I know a couple of you from Disney are watching that I've seen, because you messaged me and commented on the video. So please don't trash me to your bosses and things like that, because I really I'm just trying to get people to go and to go to Disney World and to see Wreck-It Ralph and things like that, and It's just really cool, and it'd be cool if you just don't completely trash me. That'd be great. Yeah, go to allers.net, touringplans.com, www.magic.com for our latest and greatest Disney news. WaltDisneyWorld.com is good too. Straight before some mouse stuff. Oh my God, I said that really fast. Now I have to cough because of my dry throat. I need like some water or something. Should do that next time. Make sure that's there so I don't cough everywhere. But yeah, alright. Well, I'll see you guys next week for another Disney News reviews. I am going to review 2 rides next time. One of you requested them, and I was going to do it today, but 2 big things happened this past week, so I kind of had to push it back a little bit. But I will review those 2 rides next week. So see you guys next week for another Disney News and Reviews. Bye, guys.